All right, well, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to our live case study with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, or better known as WHOI. And founded in 1930 and with 1,100 staff, including engineers, technicians, and scientists. WHOI is the world's leading independent nonprofit organization dedicated to ocean research, exploration, and education. The scientists and engineers push the boundaries of knowledge about the ocean to reveal its impacts on our planet and our lives. And I do encourage you to go to whoi.org and check out the website. There's some amazing content and things that they're doing. I'm Stephen Midgley, Chief Marketing Officer at MediaValet, and joining me today from WHOI is Craig LaPlante, Director of Digital Media and Content Strategy. Craig manages WHOI's digital media group and leads digital media initiatives that advance the institution's mission and enhance engagement. He oversees video production, photography, event media, and digital storytelling to support branding, marketing, fundraising, and public outreach. His strategic and creative leadership ensures that WHOI's digital content effectively communicates its groundbreaking research and institutional priorities. Craig's got a full plate. There's a lot of stuff that Craig's working on, but Craig, it's great to see you again, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about our success with your product.
Yeah, it's great, and as someone who's always grown up and lived near the ocean in Canada and the UK, I find the work done by WHOI to be fascinating. And one of the great benefits of working at MediaValet is we have a whole slew of really interesting customers, and definitely WHOI fits into that category. So, looking forward to the conversation. And for those listening in, if you have questions, put them into the chat, and we'll tackle them at this time at the end of the session. So Craig, great to meet you. Great to spend some more time with you. Maybe we can just start off and tell me about the challenges or the pain points that led you to explore a digital solution and some of the specific issues that you were hoping to address.
Yeah, thank you very much. So when I first came to Hui, I learned about its like huge depth of video content, and it just had there was video being captured everywhere across the ocean, all different disciplines, and it was all mostly being kind of shared and collected on external hard drives. So you can imagine like shelves with dusty hard drives everywhere, desks and video scattered everywhere. And then, when you started kind of opening up some of those hard drives, you realized that a lot of it was, we called it gold, just this wonderful treasure trove of really amazing footage across the ocean.
Mm.
And so we realized that there was a huge need to get that into a more accessible format so that we could utilize it and better tell our stories in our research.
And so obviously video is an important piece of the puzzle for you. When you were looking at specifically digital asset management solutions, what made MediaValet stand out for WHOI and for yourself in addressing those pain points?
Yeah, we looked at a lot of products,
Mm.
everything from, like what a high-end production house would use, which was a little too like too too involved for our resources, and then down to like the basic image management systems that were just like not enough for what we really wanted to get with video. And Media Valley kind of struck that balance for us when we were like, okay, we want this simple sort of solution, but we want it to be scalable and video friendly. Cloud-based, obviously, so we can share remote access anywhere our editors or shooters are. Um, we wanted control over our assets because they were often getting out, and we'd find out about a publication of something and we didn't even know about it. So there's brand integrity
Mm.
there too. And um, just being able to better utilize our footage in a way that, it wasn't just in these hard drives collecting dust. That was kind of the main source of evaluating our dam solution.
Yeah, and we hear that a lot from our customers. You have sort of these silos of content across the
Yeah.
organization that people don't have access to. And so it just makes it really challenging to have a comprehensive content strategy. It makes it difficult to get content into the hands of the right people because it can be in hard drives sitting in people's desks. So for you, and having been to the website, and having talked to you before, your video plays such an important role in your digital content strategy. Um, why was improving access to video content such a key priority for you and your team?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, kind of going back to my initial view of or assessment, I guess, of when
Mhm.
when I started at WHOI about 6 or so years ago, that was my first initial thinking was like, oh my God, they have so much great video because we are literally everywhere across the globe in the ocean,
Mhm.
and you can imagine video in the ocean. There's just so much life there. There's so much to see and view that when we started kind of doing this audit of some of these hard drives that were all over the place, we uncovered like beautiful shots of penguins, coral reefs, whales, all in like 4K, and it was all unused. It may have been used in like specific documentaries or whatnot, but it wasn't used to get out or to communicate WHOI's research and to tell our story. And so that was like the key driver there is like, okay, video can be very well utilized if we can get it organized and make it accessible. And then we can kind of elevate our storytelling. We wanted to focus on developing YouTube, enhancing our events with video. Obviously, social media is very, video centric. And then another big one, which kind of came as like an
Mhm.
afterthought in my mind, but was our news media. It's like the news really wants video packages when we're
Yeah.
doing pitches or press releases or stuff like that. So being able to easily collect and share, a batch of video that the news outlets could package themselves was a great win for us.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, at MediaValet, one of our, sort of raison d'etre, our mission is to democratize content
Mhm.
and getting content into the right hands and be able not just within the organization but across all stakeholders, whether internal or external. And so it sounds like you with using Media Valet, you'll be able to democratize access to content. And your team, the digital media group, how is it? Maybe what was that before and after? So how has Media Valley helped how your team works on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I would say that for our group, digital media kind of has a hand in like within the communications department. We are kind of like helping each of the individual groups within communication. So media relations, they can now utilize what we're doing to help create those press kits and those video packages for news outlets. Our social media team can get access to more content and have more creative flexibility for what they're producing. We've seen an uptick in the amount of stuff we're producing. So, I mean, that is a direct correlation to having access. Our editorial can, match video to their stories they're writing or preparing for events and presentations. Our researchers are able to access video that may not directly relate to their field, but can help tell the story that they're trying to tell with their research. And then lastly, I'll just say that it kind of expands the overall production. So the quantitative side of production, where we can have remote editors and shooters all collaborating together and not just have like everyone in one building and you're isolated to that. You can now we've hired remote editors to put together
Hmm.
packages for various things, and that just increases our content.
Yeah, that's great. I think, excuse me, So, you talk about overall production, but maybe we can drill down into some specific examples of how using Media Valet has helped your team accelerate a project or campaign. And anyone who's been to Hui will, or familiar with Hui, will know about the Titanic and that discovery, that's pretty incredible footage. But maybe is there a specific project or campaign where Media Valley helped you accelerate
Yeah.
that activity?
Well, I'll jump right into why not talk about Titanic, right?
Why not? It's pretty cool stuff.
Well, fun fact, this year, September, is 40 years since the discovery of the wreck of the Titanic in 1985.
Huh.
So it's on this nice little anniversary of the discovery. And that project, I think it was maybe the end of 2022, where we were doing this audit of all these hard drives. And my colleague, Jane Doucette, came across a huge treasure trove of footage from, we have these like back in the 80s, we had this towed sled that had cameras on it. And that's
Yeah.
how they were searching for the
Yeah.
wreck, and it had video cameras and all these lights. And we found the original footage from that. And so we were able to kind of pass all that footage through Media Valet and organize a strategy around pitching to the news outlets. So the news media could kind of help promote this, we'll call it like a re-release of this footage. And the cool thing about the footage was that it was never really released in its raw format. So it had been used, picture clips out of like an hour long tape. Clips had been used in various documentaries and exhibits and stuff like that, but it had never really been put out there for the public to just watch how it unfolded. And so that was the angle we went with, and we
Mhm.
coincided the release of that footage with the 20th anniversary of the Titanic film itself. So it was kind of
Okay.
this fun play on what's happening in the news. That whole project really elevated and took our online um, audience engagement to the next level across YouTube, social media. Our news and media mentions went through the roof. We still have an asterisk on that year because it was just so high, all those things. And that just has a cascading effect across all of the other initiatives we do in terms of communicating who he does and building an audience and engaging that audience. And that kind of carries through the following years because you can re-engage those
Mhm.
audiences. And so that was like a major, probably the biggest impact, most impactful project that we did utilizing Media Valet, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject, and yeah, just like I said, you've got some amazing footage of the Titanic, but just in general, I think the work that Hui does to uh, locate missing, it could be aircraft, just learning how the oceans work. It's amazing
Yeah.
footage.
No, we have the most some of the most intelligent researchers,
Yeah.
scientists, engineers working in some of the hardest places in the world to work, which is the ocean. It's unforgiving. And we have some of the most
Mhm.
specialized robotics that can access various parts of the ocean, and they all have cameras on them. So it's like kind of this full
Yeah.
story where you kind of have these people putting these vehicles out in the ocean, capturing footage in various ways. And now we have on our end as communicators, we're trying to figure out how to best utilize that footage to tell the story, to get a following, to re-engage, and ultimately get people involved in supporting our mission. So it's kind
Yeah.
of this full circle, and Media Valley is a perfect kind of platform to help us do that.
Yeah, when we look at digital asset management, we think of things like, there's obviously the brand governance and ensuring that in case of Hui that it's being used the correct way. But there's also we go back to that democratizing content. It's the distribution of content to the right people at the right time for the right purposes. And so when we talk about the product and how you use it, the two specific features or functionality that you are a heavy user of, and that's portal, so distribution, and then video trimming, given the vast amount of video you have. So maybe just for our audience, you can kind of dig a little bit deeper into how portals and video trimming help you achieve your objectives.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, those are my kind of my two favorite aspects of MediaValet that I think have really elevated our workflows. Portals, I would say, are really important if you have sub-brands or centers within the institution or departments that are video heavy and have their own initiatives going. So what you can do with a portal and what we've done is create basically a digital asset library for a group, an individualized group, and they
Mhm.
have their own content contributors, and they basically a portal gives them this really nice, clean looking, almost like sub-branded library that they can share with people that they're collaborating with, and they can add to and sync in real time new uploads. So it's constantly being populated with new content, and it's all catered to them specifically. And so they don't have to kind of sift through the larger institution library. They can sift through their own topical library and easily download. So you can imagine, one center has, researchers on a certain topic. Those researchers can access this portal and find video clips for their presentations a lot more easily than if they have to go in through the larger library and dig out what if they're not used to it. This is a very portals are also very intuitive. They're very easy to,
Mhm.
to manage. And so that's a leg up when you don't, necessarily have time to train anyone on the product.
Yeah, and you were saying when we were chatting earlier that yeah, you can just someone has a request, outside group, maybe a media outlet has a request, you can just get everything that resembles what they're asking for, put it to the portal, and then they can pick and choose what they want, and then you can go through the licensing process.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I would say for licensing, we actually use like the galleries and collections
Okay.
more because it's just quicker than setting
Yeah.
up a whole portal. But which is a great use case as well. Those collections that we can make.
Hmm.
This is a whole other aspect of what we offer is people come to us and say, can I license this video clip for this documentary or for this museum exhibit? And we say, well, here's like what you can choose from. We give them a collection and they say, okay, I want three of those clips. We trim down the collection, give them the proxies, so a lower resolution version of that file. They can work with that, and we work with them to sign an agreement. And so if it's a commercial use case, there's a fee attached, so we get some money for our research. It goes right back to our research, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. Um, and our brand integrity is intact too. So we know where our footage is being used and how it's being used. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think another piece of that puzzle is the proxies, the fact that we can give somebody access to download a, 360 pixel version of a 4K video file that they'll end up using so that they can work with it and see if they actually do want to use it is a great piece that Media Valley offers. And then once they say, yes, this is what we want to use, we give them access to download the full resolution. So that's a nice workflow we have.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, really efficient. And then video trimming, you've got a lot of video, a lot of
Mhm.
historical video too. So
Yeah.
it's not just from the past year, but it's decades worth of video.
Yeah. And I want to give your development team a shout out because when we first started with Media Valet, one of the things you didn't have video trimming then, I think it was 4 years ago or so.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, it'd be great if we could, have these uploads that are, minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes long, and just download a snippet of them, not download the whole thing. And I think your team like wrote that down and said, we'll get into development. Here we are 3 years later, and now it's like one of my favorite features. Not only because I was like, wow, they listened to me, but because we're putting it to good use. We do have archival footage that is, in some cases, just put into MediaValet into our library as a long clip. And you
Okay.
don't, as an editor, you don't want to spend the time downloading that whole clip. You might just want a piece of it. So it's really saving a lot of time, I would say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, video trimming is really popular. And I think, what we're seeing across all of our customers is just the rapid adoption of video as uh, as a content channel. And certainly in our research and talking to our customers and just more industry research, it's the fastest growing medium for content. And I think we were talking about it. I think when you were at Northeastern doing your master's in digital studies, it was like your professor said, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video's worth a million.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge with video because, if it's an image, it's just one asset, but a video can be a multitude of assets of all the being able to, all the frames that are involved in video, especially long form video. So, certainly far more efficient way of managing video content and getting it out to the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the storytelling enhancement with video, and then you add your audio to that, and just
Mhm.
that's kind of where my passion began for what I'm doing now is as a creator and also kind of like an operations side of things is the the potential for storytelling with this kind of multimedia. So being able to tell a story very robustly and in depth with video is a great way. And I've kind of honed in on research, so scientific communication, scientific or complex storytelling, which
Mhm.
it's even more appropriate there to have video.
Yeah, and I think with Hui, it's really complex stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
you're telling a story that it's highly built into scientific research and engineering and leading edge stuff. So I think video is an important way to tell that story in a way that the masses can understand.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
as you look forward, so as you evolve your digital media group and digital strategy at Hui and audiovisual intelligence, what are you most excited about in terms of where the technology is going?
So one thing that you have in the product that we haven't really unlocked for our own uses, but I think could have really high potential is the audio visual kind of
Yeah.
intelligence. Um, you know, I've seen it in action. We just haven't really gotten there as like a regular part of our process. So I'm really excited about unlocking the potential there for using AI to scan your audio, scan your video, and offer up metadata, keywords, and trained that algorithm to offer even more refined, more I guess, individualized keywords for our specific use cases. So that improved tagging will, I think, just unlock more uses for our video and audio. There's also, the metadata input is a pain point, no matter how you're doing it. It's no one ever really wants to take the time to make sure, you go and shoot something and you come back and you upload it. It's hard to kind of get excited about also typing in all the metadata that went along,
Yeah.
but that is crucial to, unlocking the unknown potential use cases for that footage. You don't necessarily know where that footage is going to end up. It could be used 2 years from now in something very
Mhm.
important. So, you can't really foresee, it's not just like video shot for one purpose. It's unlocking multiple purposes for that for that video.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It certainly is a when it comes to video, there is a long game. There's the immediacy of the video, but then there's the future use cases of it that are hard to determine.
Yeah.
Um, so
I also want to mention that you do have audio transcription, which I think if we learned more about that and dove into that deeper, we could save some money there because we often kind of outsource transcribing quite
yeah,
a bit. So having that all in one product is really helpful.
yeah, the transcription and then also the transcription in multiple languages too. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Well, a really fun fact about the transcription stuff is that
yeah,
those transcriptions within MediaValet or within a video clip are in themselves searchable. So when you search like the word hopeful, if somebody says that in a video clip, that
yeah.
frame is a result in your search. So you can find specific parts within a video clip from the transcript, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is a huge time saving, especially if you've got a lot of video. And then, so this sort of final question for our session, Craig. You know, we've got people listening in, watching, whether the nonprofit or research organizations like yourself, but you know, people who are listening who are managing large archives and they're trying to maximize the content's reach and ROI. What advice would you give to anyone listening in? How to maximize content reach and ROI.
Well, I can speak to kind of our process, and that was to start with our broader goals of like what are we trying to do within communications, and kind of assessing the landscape. So that initial audit, like, oh yeah, we do have a treasure trove of video. It is scattered everywhere, and video is a high priority in terms of our communication. And then finding a simple yet scalable solution. So that was Media
Mm,
Ballet. That was like, kind of tick the box there. And then just realizing that, metadata really matters. And so you can't just have MediaValet, the product, and then your problems are gone. You have to really think through the metadata, be on it in terms of when you put footage into the library, you put the metadata in it with it. And then the last thing I'll say is that creating like a custom taxonomy for your library and really thinking that through makes it just that much better in the long run because you're going to end up getting footage in there that you didn't know that you were going to capture or that you had already captured, didn't know it existed, and you want to have that category, that hierarchy laid out in a very intuitive way, and have obvious places to put things. That is something that we're still refining.
mm.
It's a very hard, it's a difficult challenge to really nail down that taxonomy.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. I think that they're the two key pieces is metadata and taxonomy and getting that organized. I was talking to someone a while back and they were telling us how, you know, digital asset management isn't really a project, it's a journey. A project has
Mm.
an end date. Digital asset management's a journey and it's a constant evolution. So you got to start off with that metadata and taxonomy. Anything else as we wrap up? Craig, anything else you want to add that we haven't covered in
No,
our?
I mean, I would point to kind of a real-time use case, aside from the Titanic use case,
Mm,
which is a fantastic example. But what we're able to do now, because we've built out this library, is as we prepare for we have a very large capital campaign event happening in October. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of video production being worked through for that event, including a major film. And that major film, we're working with an outside agency, and we can just simply give them access to Media Valet as their own, login user group, and they now have access to all this stuff that used to be on hard drives in someone's office. So that is kind of putting everything together in a way that'll really capitalize on the footage we have, in real time, making it a lot quicker to work with the footage. Just being able to work with external partners, I think, is kind of really expands your potential in terms of content creation.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, Craig, hey, we're at time, but I just want to say thanks again for joining me today. WHOI dot, I think it's WHOI dot edu is your
EDU,
website. Yeah, I
yeah.
got it wrong at the beginning, but I encourage everyone to go to WHOI.edu. It's great footage, amazing story. So as someone who loves to go scuba diving, I really enjoyed chatting with you about WHOI and learning more about them. So appreciate you taking the time to share your MediaValet story with us.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, Craig, you take care. Thank you.
Bye bye.